My name's Glenda Caesar. I'm age 60 and I'm a Windrush survivor stroke victim.
Oh, pressure, pressure, a whole lot of pressure, pressure. My mother and my father, I want pressure, pressure.
I came here when I was 3 months old from the Caribbean, the nature island of Dominica, where my parents were born. I was the first out of, how many of us was at the time? I think four of us. I was the fourth child. So I had 2 elder sisters and an elder brother. I can remember coming over, as a matter of fact. I can remember the first room my mum and dad actually had, where I remember mummy picking blackberries in the back garden and making jam. So I know how to make jam from when I was little. We then moved from one room in Islington to another room, which my mum and dad, it was quite big, but they separated it using a curtain. So you had the front room at the back, and then we had 2 double beds front room at the front, 2 double beds at the back, in between this curtain separating this room. I remember seeing my big sister coming to England. At the airport, we went to pick her up, and my brother, and then my sister, who's just above me. She looks like me. We look alike, so we're like twins, but she's 2 years older than me. I remember mummy and daddy, we used to live next to teddy boys. Back then, it was teddy boys and teddy girls, and they never liked black people. Let's put it that way. They never liked Caribbean people, I'd say. But I remember them passing a comment to my mum and calling her a racist name. And my mum wasn't having it. She weren't having it. So I think a fight took place between them, where it was more on their doorstep and it was on our doorstep, and there was milk bottles flying across, and I remember my mum pushing me back. But from then, my mum sort of like spoke to us and said, don't ever let anybody call you any names. But there was a particular name that they always used to say. They always used to call us black bastards. And mummy would say, if anybody ever call you that, you let them know your mum and dad is married. Because as far back then, if you weren't married, that's what the name they would give you if you had a child. But from there, my mum and dad purchased a house in Hackney.
Chairman, you better check out the truth, because it don't matter how bright you are in this country, right? As long as you're this color, you know what's happening.
When we moved to Hackney, and that was my very first experience in school, where a Caucasian girl would always be picking on me, because I would quiet. My mum always said, don't cause no trouble, just, you're new to the school, just cool. And coming from Hackney, we never faced any of that. Coming from Islington, we never faced any of that, because Islington, I don't know, it was just different. And they're proper Cockneys. So we came to Hackney proper Cockneys. We were like proper Cockneys. And then this girl just kept picking, and then she said that word, what my mum said, never allow them to say that to you. But then she hit me, and that was her biggest mistake. I'm sorry, because I retaliated. And because of me retaliating, I got all of us kicked out of that school. But my mum never told us off, because as far as she's concerned, I was defending myself and my family, because we wasn't brought up to even contemplate about colour, because my family's of mixed. My grandmother is mixed, and my dad's family are very, what they call browning. in Dominica, they call it shabin, when you're very fair. So that's what my dad's side of, and as a baby, I was so fair. I stood out from the rest of my family. So I didn't never experience, knew about like white and black, because there was a lady called Sadie, and she always reminded me of Snow White. She had that colour skin, and she had that dark hair. So I thought she was Snow White, and she was actually my dad's cousin's wife. So she used to look after me. But it wasn't until coming to Hackney that we actually were faced with that. Because of my skin colour, no one ever sort of like questioned me growing up. A lot of people didn't even know that both my parents were black. They obviously thought that one of my parents was white because of the way that I spoke and because of, like I said, my skin. So I never came across that. I remember as an adult, there was a time where the government was saying they were going to send people away, and a friend of mine said to me, "Oh, you'll be all right." So I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You'll be all right." He said, "Because you can either stay here or go to another country." So I said, "Excuse me?" And then he said, "Well, you're of mixed origin." I said, "No, I'm not." I said, no, I'm Dominican and both my parents are black. And I think that's the only time I ever faced anything like that. When I got kicked out of school and they put me, I was in the Sun newspaper and they put me in their classes, sin bin, and they had me in the middle sitting on the thing like that. So I was in the Sun newspaper for that. My mum was angry. And then there was an organisation called the Black Parents Movement. And they came to my mum's house to see me. That's where I met John LaRose, Darcus Howe, there was Jerry, there was somebody else. She's a judge now. But they were part of the organisation what started the Notting Hill Carnival. And I'll never forget them because they were so adamant they were fighting against the same thing I spoke to you about, educational subnormal thing. And from then, Mummy started going carnival all the time. And I remember she used to take me and I'd have to sit in our family live. But there was a time where police were chasing everybody, but we couldn't go out there. I just had to sit in the house and could hear all of this.
We have a legal right to be in this hole, you know. Look, we're searching it, woman. We're searching it for you, go, Warren. Shut your mouth and keep your hands on the wall. Like, we're searching it for drugs or stuff. Shut your mouth.
But I started, once I got the option to go carnival, I was there. Every year I was there without fail, following the Dominican ban. But my children, I allowed them to go when they were about 14 and 15, because the boys are a year apart, 14 and 15. Yeah. But I don't remember any racial tension then. No, nothing like that. It was, you know, when you don't, I think being such a young person, you don't even think about those things. And I think Broadwater Farm, that riot was the first time where it actually came and I was like, wow, is this what's really going on here? Is this what we have to put up with? But it hasn't changed to what's happening now. The only thing is now we don't protest so much. Whereas back then I think they protested a lot more, where they would, you know, enforce marching. Now that don't happen. The slightest thing that happened back then to, like you say, like the Brixton riots, everybody, I remember being on the road and looking at the top of the road, and you could just see people going across to making their way to South. They were walking it to South London. It was funny. The young generation is standing up now. They're standing up. And it's about time, because back then, my generation, we never stood up, because we would, the thing with and I have to say it's the black community, they keep their things secret, and they just say, no, all right, leave it. No. I am of the new generation, because I'm of my mum's generation and my dad's generation, the ones who came over here to fix up England, and then my generation was born. And we're not having it, because we were raised here. I'm not having it. I'm not having it at all. If you're going to do wrong, I'm going to tell you it's wrong. And I'm glad that the generation that's coming up now are seeing that, and they're learning from that, so they can teach their generation after that. Stand up. You have a voice. Talk. We are somebody. We are educated. We have rights as well. We came here. Our foreparents came here to help you. So give us the respect, you know what I mean? Answer that. I'm praying. Anyway, I teach my grandkids that.
Blood and fire. Blood, 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 blood
Blood and fire.
Let's hear you come.
If I saw